The DC Office of the Tenant Advocate presents Tenant Detective: How to Research and Inspect Records to Ensure the Landlord is Complying with DC Law. The goal of the Tenant Detective is to empower tenants to use publicly available data regarding District of Columbia rental properties to evaluate their landlord's compliance with DC housing laws. Be aware, one record does not tell the whole story. Understand that just because a record isn't available doesn't mean the landlord has a clean slate, and the existence of records does not necessarily point to a bad landlord either. Where to begin? There may be a difference between the owner of a rental unit, or the landlord, and the management company operating that unit or the building, also called the owner's agent. You can research both the owner's name, often located on the first page of your lease, and the management company. Keep in mind that management companies can change over time in the same building. What kind of information about your landlord is available online? Housing code violation notices of infraction that have not yet been abated, basic business license verification, certificate of occupancy verification, LLC registration names and addresses, lead-based paint infractions, rent control registration or exemption, recent TOPA-related filings, eviction lists for upcoming evictions, and DC Superior Court records. The Department of Buildings Landlord Violations Tool. The DOB Landlord Violations Tool includes approximately 38,000 housing code violations for which the Department of Buildings has cited landlords over the last 4 years. Note, once a landlord has abated a violation, it is removed from the tool's database. Use this tool to find out if a landlord or a building has outstanding housing code violations and what types of violations they have. To navigate, visit the DOB's website at dob.dc.gov, click Resources and Tools, click Online Resources, and click DOB Public Dashboard. Click on Violations and Abatement. Scroll to the Landlord Violations tool and enter the property address or the name of the landlord. Search by fiscal year, owner name, case number, or address to see a list of all open violations. Some violations are more serious than others. Depending on the severity, a landlord typically has 7 days to fix emergencies that threaten the life and safety of the tenants, and 30 or 60 days to fix non-emergencies. Department of Buildings and Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection SCOUT Licensing and Inspections tool. Use this tool to verify that your landlord has obtained a basic business license required for all landlords and a certificate of occupancy required for all rental units except in single-family dwellings. You can also view other records including inspections and permits. To navigate, visit dob.dc.gov, click on Residents, click Public Data Scout. To use Scout, you'll need to create your own username and password with your email address. Once you've registered with your email address, you can search by address, business, or person name, and permit or license number if you have it. You can even set a Scout alert for a certain address so that you will receive an email anytime someone applies for a new permit for that address. Find information here about the current owner, ownership changes over time, when the building was last sold, and how the building is registered as 1 unit, 2 to 4 units, or 5 or more units. You can also find the certificate of occupancy and basic business license issued to the building and information about ownership and zoning changes. Sometimes the owner of a building is registered as an LLC, but there is limited information you can gather based on the name of the LLC. OpenCorporates.com. Use this tool to find information about a limited liability corporation, or LLC, and even a tenant association. These records will show names and addresses associated with a particular LLC. You can also search for information about tenant associations that have incorporated a nonprofit corporation. Is there an active tenant association currently at the building, or was there one at one point? Department of Energy and the Environment Enforcement and Compliance Database. The DOEE provides the public with information related to environmental inspections and administrative enforcement actions. To navigate, visit doee.dc.gov, click Resources, click Environmental Data and Maps, and click DOEE Enforcement Dashboard. Search records by address for lead-based paint violations, air quality infractions, or other issues. For example, if you wanted to search for buildings with lead-based paint infractions, you could search by that particular category on the map. Rental Accommodations Division Rent Control Status. Use this tool to find landlord records filed with the Rental Accommodations Division of the Department of Housing and Community Development, or DHCD. All landlords must register their rental units with the Rental Accommodations Division as either rent-controlled or exempt from rent control. If a landlord has not registered properly, the unit is rent-controlled by default. To navigate, visit dhcd.dc.gov, click Renters, click Record Search, click Search Rent Control Records. Use the username and password they provide to you on the web page. When you log in, click DHCD HRA RAD Public Search. You can search by address. Note that the search terms should be exact. Here you can find previous filings, rent increases, housing provider petitions, and more. DHCD's Conversion and Sales Division TOPA filings. Have you heard rumors that your property is about to be sold? Did you receive a notice of offer of sale from your landlord and you want to exercise your TOPA rights? DHCD's Conversion and Sales Division, or CASD, publishes a weekly Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act report detailing what TOPA-related filings they've received in the past week. To navigate, visit dhcd.dc.gov, click Housing Providers, click Conversion and Sales, and click Weekly Report of Filings under TOPA. Use this report to check filing dates and verify what stage of the TOPA process your building is in. Eviction list. Does this landlord evict tenants? The OTA maintains a list of upcoming scheduled evictions online, as provided by the U.S. Marshal Service. The list could be used to evaluate whether there are any upcoming evictions in the next 60 days at a certain address. To navigate, visit ota.dc.gov, click OTA Information, and click Eviction Lists. DC Superior Court Records. Does this landlord take tenants to court? You can search public DC Superior Court records to find out whether this landlord has taken tenants to court for eviction, whether tenants have taken this landlord to court for issues such as small claims, or verify whether an eviction record has been sealed. Note, not all existing records may be public, some may be sealed. To navigate, visit dccourts.gov, click Online Resources, click Search Cases Online, click Superior Court, click Portal Search, and it will bring you to a new page, and then click Smart Search. Enter either the company name or the first and last name of the landlord or principal agent. You may be asking, now that I've found out all of this information about my landlord and my rental unit, was the landlord required to disclose any of this to me?
The landlord must disclose the following to all rental applicants: the basic business license number, the Rental Accommodations Division registration or claim of exemption, the certificate of occupancy, except for single-family dwellings, the applicable rent for the unit, and the unit's rent control or exempt status. Presence of indoor mold in the prospective unit or common area in the previous 3 years, unless the mold has been completely remediated by a licensed professional. A copy of the OTA Tenant Bill of Rights. Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home, a pamphlet issued by the EPA and HUD, and the Tenant Lead Rights Form issued by the DOEE. The landlord must disclose the following in addition if the unit is rent controlled: any pending tenant or housing provider petitions that may affect the rent for the unit, a copy of any housing code violation reports issued by the Department of Buildings within the last 12 months, or for any other violations that remain unabated, a pamphlet published by the rent administrator that explains the requirements for rent increases, and the last 3 rent increases for the unit and the basis for each of those increases. If you have questions or concerns regarding required landlord disclosures, contact the District of Columbia Office of the Tenant Advocate at 202-719-6560.